That gut punch? That fire inside you? Yeah, that one you've been hiding under fake smiles and quiet nods? Yeah, you're tired of being ignored, brushed aside, told to wait your turn, right? This video is for the ones who refuse to stay small. The ones who've been sleeping with rage, waking with purpose. You're about to see the truth no one dares say. The stuff that shook millions, even the big shots felt it. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to see yourself differently. You're not weak, not small, not just surviving. You're a storm waiting to break chains. Can I get a let's go in the comments? Type it now. I want to see you rise. I want to see this energy explode. And before we dive, shout out to you, the real ones watching, the warriors hiding in plain sight, the silent fire in the chaos. This one's yours. Yeah, this energy belongs to you. You didn't see it coming. The world kept spinning, blind while you carried a storm in your chest. They smiled at you, nodded at you, pretended you belonged. But every whisper you ignored, every shadow you stepped over, it built a weight they never noticed. And now it hits. Hard, like lightning in a cage. You're awake, and the first strike is yours. They told you to follow rules, to wait, to play nice, obey, smile. They didn't care you were burning inside, didn't care you saw the cracks in their polished lies. The truth was festering, gnawing at the corners of your mind. And while you waited, they fed off your silence. But silence is a weapon, and you're about to fire. Look at them. The ones who laughed when you stumbled, the ones who thought you'd stay small, they feel it now. Even the industry tightens, even the so-called leaders. They shiver because they can sense it. Your awareness is a blade they never sharpened against themselves. You moved quietly, but you moved. And the ground beneath their feet is trembling, whether they admit it or not. Pain. It's beautiful when you realize its purpose. Every bruise, every scar, every broken trust, they were gifts, instructions etched in your flesh. You've learned their weaknesses. You've cataloged their lies. You've felt the cold betrayal that freezes the soul. And now you wield it. Not for revenge, not for mercy, but for clarity. And clarity is a weapon that cannot be bargained with. This is the moment they notice. That pause before realization. That flicker in their eyes when they see you've changed. The first strike isn't loud, it's subtle. A glance, a decision, a movement no one predicted. They will remember it. They will whisper about it. And deep down, they will fear it. Because once you decide to move, once you decide to act, there's no stepping back. So breathe it in. The tension, the unspoken acknowledgement of your power. It's raw, it's dangerous, it's intoxicating. You've been underestimated for too long, dismissed, written off, but that stops now. You're awake, you're sharp, and the first strike, it's not just a warning, it's a declaration. A fracture in the world they thought they controlled, and it's beautiful, watching them feel it. They smiled, they nodded, they whispered sweet lies while stabbing with quiet precision. You thought you were safe, you thought trust was earned, but every hand that shook yours carried a knife. Every word of praise hid a trap, and you didn't notice it. Not until now. But now you see the cracks, the rot, the poison that crept in while you were distracted. They were everywhere. Friends, colleagues, mentors, they fed off your compliance, thrived on your restraint, thrilled in your silence, and while you built yourself up, they were busy tearing the foundation of your world. You felt it, the tension, the whispers behind your back, the slight smirks when you stumbled. They thought they were invisible. They weren't, not to you. Every betrayal has a pattern. Every lie has a signature, and you've cataloged them all. They didn't even realize they were leaving footprints in the sand. The industry giants, the so-called experts, they felt untouchable. But shadows betray them, and shadows don't lie. You've learned to read them, to anticipate, to exploit. The hidden saboteurs are not hidden anymore. Pain sharpens vision, rage builds precision. And the quiet ones, those who underestimated the storm inside you, they are about to feel it. Not with brute force, not with bluster, but with awareness. A sudden, subtle strike that cracks their confidence. You move like a ghost, silent, lethal, but with intent, and that is chaos they cannot contain. You realize now that the world is full of masks, smiles that conceal venom, hands that pretend to hold yours, only to push you off a cliff, and you, for too long, walked blind. But your eyes are open now. The first strike was only a taste. This is deeper, more personal. A reckoning wrapped in shadow. A symphony they never wanted to hear. And so you wait, watching, learning, smiling. When they think you do not, every glance, every word, every silence is a weapon. They have underestimated you for the last time, and when you move, they will feel it. The hidden saboteurs, the ones who thought you were a pawn, they will remember your name in whispers, in fear, in the quiet collapse of their control. Every scar tells a story. Every wound whispers secrets. You thought they were weaknesses. You thought they were marks of defeat. But pain is a gift, a cruel, beautiful gift that carves strength into the marrow. And now you wield it, not as a burden, not as a cry for mercy, but as a blade that slices through doubt, hesitation, and every soul who dared underestimate you. They try to hide from it, to numb it, to pretend it doesn't exist. But you stare it in the eye. You drink it in. Rage becomes fuel. Betrayal becomes strategy. Loss becomes ammunition. Each heartbeat pounds with the rhythm of revenge. Not blind, not clumsy, but precise. Pain is not a cage. It is a weapon waiting in your hands, ready to strike. Every time they laughed when you stumbled, every time they whispered behind your back, every glance that tried to diminish you, it all matters now. You remember it, you feel it, you sharpen it, and it's intoxicating. The clarity, the focus, the raw hunger that rises from being broken. They never saw this coming. They couldn't. You were patient, silent, calculating, waiting for the perfect moment to turn their rules against them. Pain teaches. It is honest. It shows you who you are when the world is burning, when silence screams, when every safe path crumbles. And in that fire, you find control. You find power. You learn that the world doesn't hand respect. It doesn't reward endurance. It rewards the one who refuses to bend, the one who dares to strike while the others are still trembling in fear. And fear, oh, fear is delicious when it's turned inside out. When they sense your resolve, your understanding of their lies, your knowledge of their weaknesses, they see it too late. The eyes widen, the confidence falters, and you smile, not because of their pain, but because you've become the storm. Every scar, every betrayal, every quiet breakdown led to this moment of total clarity. So take it, own it. Every ache, every bruise, every sleepless night, transform it. Let it course through your veins like lightning, sparking every nerve, every thought, every plan. Pain is no longer your enemy. It is your accomplice, your partner, your whisper in the dark that tells you exactly when, where, and how to strike. And when you do, they will remember. They will feel it. They will fear it, long after you've moved on. Everything you believe to be safe is rotten. Every rule, every promise, every hand that was meant to guide you crumbled under the weight of truth. They built castles of comfort, illusions to make you obey. You followed. You trusted. You bent. And now you see the cracks, the fractures, the lies hiding in plain sight. And it's intoxicating. They told you life was fair. That effort equals reward. That loyalty is returned. And you believed it, foolishly, blindly, and they laughed, quietly, always laughing behind the curtain. But now their curtain is torn. Their little stage of control has collapsed. And you stand in the ruins, watching, smiling, learning the art of chaos they never taught you. Comfort is a trap. Safety is a mirage. Every wall they built around you, every mask they forced you to wear, was meant to keep you compliant, to keep you small. And now the walls are gone. The mask is shattered. Every illusion they whispered in your ear dies in the cold light of your awareness. And awareness is power they can't touch. They thrive on your dependence, on your obedience, on your silence. And now that silence is broken, your eyes are open, your mind is a blade. Every hidden rule, every whispered demand, every expectation they placed on you can be bent, broken, or burned. And they know it, even if they don't say it, even if they pretend not to notice. The collapse is subtle, but inevitable. The world isn't as it seemed. Not neat, not fair, not kind, and that's beautiful. Chaos isn't weakness. Disorder isn't defeat. Reality stripped bare shows the truth. Survival belongs to those who see beyond the lies, beyond the facade, beyond the smiles meant to deceive. And now, you see it all, and nothing can blind you again. So stand, watch, wait, and strike. The illusions are gone. The soft whispers of compliance are silent. Only raw truth remains, and with it, the freedom to act, the freedom to dominate, the freedom to reshape the world in a way that terrifies them. Because once they realize, it's too late. The collapse is already in motion, and you are the catalyst. Fear is a shadow. It follows you everywhere, lurks in the corners of your mind, whispers lies, promises failure. You thought it was weakness. You thought it was something to run from. but running only feeds it. You stop, you face it, and suddenly it changes, it bends, it becomes yours. Every heartbeat pounds with it, every nerve screams, and instead of fleeing, you listen, you learn. Fear is honest. Fear tells you where you hesitate, where the cracks in your armor are, where the world thinks it can crush you. And knowledge is the first strike, the first whisper of chaos that no one sees coming. They use fear to control you, to keep you small, to make you doubt. And they thought they succeeded. But you stare into it, you let it consume you, and then you take it in your hands. Twist it, sharpen it, turn it into a weapon so precise it cuts through lies, betrayal, and every chain they thought bound you. Fear becomes anticipation. Nervousness becomes calculation. Every doubt is now a spark, every insecurity a tool. And when you move, when you strike, they feel it. That moment where everything they depended on collapses in the weight of your awareness. Fear is no longer theirs to use. It belongs to you. And with it, you are unpredictable, dangerous, unseen until it's too late. The world is full of frightened people. People who obey rules because the shadows scare them. People who bend because they are shackled by the unknown. And you smile at them. Not cruelly, not kindly, but with the quiet satisfaction of someone who knows how to dance with the dark and who has turned it into armor, into energy, into a weapon that no one can deflect. So breathe, feel it, welcome it. Let fear coil around you like a serpent, sharp and alive, and then move. Strike, whisper it in their ears through your presence, through your actions, through the chaos you carry inside. They will notice, they will hesitate, they will fear, and every step you take, every breath you draw, will remind them who learned to own the thing they cannot escape. They built the system like a maze, twisting corridors, hidden traps, rules that shift the moment you learn them, and they expected you to wander it forever. Quiet, obedient, grateful. But you watched, you listened, you mapped every corner in silence. And now you know exactly where to press so the whole structure shakes. You don't charge at the walls, you slip through them. Quiet steps, sharp mind, a presence they can't predict. That's what unsettles them. That flicker in their eyes when they notice you've stopped playing their little game. The rules they forced on you? Paper thin. The limits they swore were real? Fiction stitched together to keep you compliant. And you're done pretending. You see the weak points, the flaws, the cracks beneath their polished smiles. They hide them well, but not well enough. You learn to observe the pauses in their voice, the twitch in their plans, the hesitation they can't disguise. And with each discovery, you carve your own path. Not loud, not chaotic, precise. A quiet fracture that grows with every step you take. They rely on patterns, predictability. People who never question the script. But you're the glitch they never prepared for. The mark they missed. The mind they underestimated. And the moment they realize you're no longer following, that moment shakes them. They feel the ground shift. They feel the control slipping. And they can't stop it because they don't know where you'll strike next. Sabotage doesn't require fury, it requires clarity. A calm refusal to accept the roles they assigned you. A steady unraveling of the ropes they wrapped around your ambition. One knot at a time. One choice at a time. One silent rebellion after another. And suddenly, their system isn't as strong as they claimed. It's fragile, vulnerable, ready to fall with the slightest push. Whoa, did you feel that? That hit right in the chest, that fire inside you. Yeah, that's the energy you've been hiding, waiting to explode. You didn't just watch, you survived, you leveled up, you claimed it. I want to see the warriors, the ones who refuse to stay small. Remember this. The world will keep testing you, pushing you down, ignoring your grind. But now you know how to strike back. Every scar, every bruise, every quiet moment you felt overlooked is fuel, is power, is your edge. And if you leave this video without action, that's on them, not you. You are the storm, the fracture, the shift no one can predict. So drop your comments, your fire, your story. I want to know who's really awake. Hit that like, share this energy, because this isn't just a video, it's a blueprint, a call to the ones ready to take what's theirs. And remember, you didn't just watch, you participated. You transformed, you shook the silence. Wow, you ever been blamed for something you didn't even do? Like what? Oh, they flipped the whole script on you. Yeah, I know that burn, that rage that crawls under your skin. The whispers, the looks, the fake smiles, the way they all switched up like they were waiting for it. But guess what? Nah, you're not crazy. You're awake. They wrote your name in dirt. But the truth, it doesn't die that easy. Because now, official records prove it. You were innocent all along. And that's the part they hate the most. They wanted to see you beg, break, vanish, but instead you got louder in silence, sharper in pain, colder in truth. Oh, the irony. Right? You stood tall when they wanted you gone. So yeah, welcome to their nightmare, the one where the innocent survives and the liars choke on their own words. This ain't just a speech, it's a reckoning. Every line, every breath, every pause you hear right now, it's built from scars, not sympathy. And hey, shout out to you, the real ones watching this till the end. You've been through the shadows, seen the masks, felt the knives in your back, and still stood up like, is that all you got? Respect. You're not just part of the audience. Nah, you're part of the movement. The ones who don't need validation, just vengeance through truth. They called you guilty before the evidence even breathed, before the ink dried on the accusation, before your side was even spoken. They wrote your name in their book of shame and slammed it shut like a verdict. Oh wow, how quickly they turned. One whisper, that's all it took. One rumor, one trembling finger pointing your way, and suddenly the crowd saw a villain where there once stood a builder, a dreamer, a believer in truth. You didn't even fight at first, did you? You just stared, silent, still waiting for reason to rise. You thought the truth would speak for itself, but it didn't. Because truth, when left alone, gets buried under noise. And noise, oh, the noise, it's louder than proof. They shouted and they laughed and they posted your name like a warning sign. They loved the chaos of it, the thrill of tearing someone down. And the saddest part? They didn't need to see evidence. They wanted to believe it. Because blaming is easier than thinking. You see, when a lie walks into a room wearing confidence, people bow. They nod, they agree, they clap, because truth is quiet, and lies perform. Yeah, lies have rhythm, costume, and applause. And so, you stood there, a prisoner, not in chains, but in perception. You kept asking, why would they think this of me? And that's the mistake right there. You tried to reason with emotion. You tried to explain logic to noise. But noise doesn't care for logic. It craves reaction. It feeds on your confusion. The more you defend, the more guilty you look. The more you plead, the more they smirk. Because they've already decided your role in their little story. The villain. And villains aren't supposed to cry. They're supposed to burn. Oh, but the irony. The crime they accused you of. You never did it. You never even thought of it. The evidence? A web of half-truths and assumptions. Yet it spread like fire because people love a scapegoat more than they love justice. They needed someone to blame so they wouldn't have to face their own reflection. And you were convenient, you were different, too calm, too silent, too focused. And that made you suspicious in their eyes. Funny, isn't it? How innocence looks guilty when everyone else is guilty inside. You learned something powerful in that storm. Silence can scream. Your stillness became their fear. Your calm became their proof. They couldn't understand how you weren't breaking, so they invented reasons for your restraint. He's hiding something, they said. She's too composed, as if control was a confession, as if dignity was disguise. But you knew, deep down, you knew that truth doesn't rush. Truth waits, and when the time came, the record spoke. Official, cold, undeniable. It proved what you knew all along. The papers cleared your name, the facts aligned, the signatures were stamped. You stood vindicated. But it didn't feel like victory, did it? Nah, it felt hollow, because the damage had already been done. The stain on your name didn't fade just because the ink said innocent. See, people don't celebrate cleared names. They move on to the next target, the next trial, the next sacrifice. They forget the truth, but remember the rumor. And you're left with the silence after the storm, trying to rebuild what they burned without flinching. But listen closely. That silence? It's your weapon now. It's the sound of your rebirth. The official record may have proven your innocence, but your composure proved your strength. They wanted you broken. Instead, you learned how to stand still in a hurricane and smile. Because when truth comes late, it comes sharp. And when it arrives, it doesn't apologize, it exposes. So now you're standing here, no longer accused, but something greater, something colder, something awake. When the falsely accused stops defending, something terrifying happens. They start seeing, not just people, but patterns. Not just words, but motives. Oh wow, that's when the curtain finally drops. You see who smiled too quickly when you fell. You see who whispered instead of asking. You see who enjoyed your silence more than your truth. It's like watching a stage crumble. The actors frozen mid-performance, the mask slipping just enough to reveal what's been hiding underneath. You realize that your trial was never about justice. It was a test to show you what loyalty looks like when it's stripped of comfort. And yeah, that realization hits hard, because the ones who claimed they knew you, they vanished. The ones who promised to stand by you, they stood behind them instead. You were never fighting for truth. You were fighting for sight, for the ability to finally see the world as it is, not as you hoped it would be. And that vision, it changes everything. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't want to understand. You stop performing innocence for an audience addicted to drama. You stop proving what should have been obvious and start watching how quickly they reveal themselves when your silence doesn't feed their ego anymore. The more you step back, the louder their lies echo. The more you stay calm, the more nervous they become. Because now, they're exposed. Oh, they can't stand it. They can't stand the look in your eyes, not the anger, not the pain, but the stillness. That look that says, I know what you did. That look that says, I don't need to prove anything anymore. Silence. Once your prison becomes your mirror, you start hearing things differently. Tone, hesitation, the tremor in their laughter when they realize you're not broken. You learn that the truth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just waits for the guilty to speak first. Nah, you don't chase apologies anymore. You've seen enough to know that some people aren't sorry they accused you. They're sorry you survived it. They wanted your reaction, your outrage, your collapse, but you gave them composure instead. And composure? That's lethal. It dismantles every lie built against you without a single word. Every scar they tried to paint as evidence becomes a symbol. Every insult they threw becomes a lesson. And every name they called you becomes a reminder of how low they had to sink just to reach your level. You didn't lose anything. You shed what was never real. Because the truth, once revealed, doesn't need to scream. It just exists. Quietly, powerfully, permanently. They say truth is sharp. But self-deception? That's poison. Slow, sweet, deadly. People feed on it every day, just to survive the taste of who they've become. Oh wow, when you've been blamed for something you didn't do, you begin to see how far people will go to protect their own illusions. You watch them twist logic into knots, rewrite moments, reshape memories, anything to make themselves look cleaner in the mirror. They lie to survive their own guilt. That's the secret. They can't face what they've done, so they convince themselves you deserved it. You brought it on yourself, they whisper, just loud enough to drown out their conscience. They turn their wrongs into reasons, their cruelty into lessons. Because to admit the truth, that they destroyed someone innocent, would destroy the image they've built of themselves. And oh, they'll defend that image with everything they have. You start to realize the accusation wasn't just a weapon, it was a mirror. It reflected all their insecurities, all their fears, all the filth they refused to acknowledge. They projected it onto you so they wouldn't have to deal with it inside themselves. Every word they threw at you was just a confession disguised as judgment. Yeah, that's the ugly symmetry of it. They called you dishonest because they were lying. They called you dangerous because they were threatened. They called you fake because your authenticity exposed their masks. People don't destroy what they don't envy. They destroy what reminds them of what they lack. And you standing there with your name stained and your heart steady, became the proof that their version of justice was never about fairness. It was about comfort. They didn't want truth. They wanted relief. Relief from accountability. Relief from reflection. Relief from the quiet voice inside that said you were wrong. But you know what hits harder? When you realize they've been living this way for years, hiding behind excuses, pretending to be righteous while rotting from the inside. Nah, they're not enemies. They're warnings. Living, breathing reminders of what happens when you trade integrity for approval. Now you look at them and feel something strange. Not anger, not vengeance, but clarity. You see how fragile their certainty is. You see how easily it shatters when faced with truth. You've stopped defending yourself, and now you're watching them defend their lies. That's poetic, isn't it? The accused becomes the observer. The one they tried to erase becomes the one holding the pen. Oh, but it gets darker. Once you see their self-deception, you start questioning your own. What lies did you tell yourself to survive? What truths did you avoid because they hurt too much? It's not an easy confrontation. It burns. But that's how transformation begins. Not by blaming, but by facing. You can't change what you refuse to see. And that realization, it's liberation in disguise. Because once you stop fearing truth, no one can use lies against you. You become untouchable. Not because the world believes you, but because you no longer need it to. Fear doesn't vanish when you conquer it. It vanishes when you stop pretending it controls you. Oh wow, that's the twist no one talks about. You were never afraid of them. You were afraid of becoming what they said you were. That's what paralyzed you. Not the lie itself, but the idea that maybe, just maybe, they'd made you doubt who you are. You stared at their accusations so long that your reflection started to blur. But now, the fog is gone. Once you've faced their lies and your own, what's left to fear? Nothing but silence. And silence doesn't bite. Fear feeds on confusion, on denial, on pretending. The moment you stop pretending you're powerless, fear starves. Yeah, it tries to whisper. It reminds you of your fall, your shame, your scars. But you look back at it with that calm, steady fire and say, I lived through worse. Because you did. You lived through judgment. You lived through the distortion of truth. You lived through abandonment that felt endless. And every moment you survived made fear smaller. Now it stands before you like a shadow, trying to frighten the light that created it. And you can't help but laugh, not out of arrogance, but understanding. Fear was never your enemy. It was your teacher. It taught you how to see who runs when things get dark. It showed you who fights, who hides, who sells silence for comfort. Oh, the lessons it gave you. Painful, yes, but priceless. It stripped you of illusions, the belief that people always mean well, that truth always wins quickly, that silence will be rewarded. It showed you that strength isn't in shouting your innocence, it's in staying steady when everyone else collapses under guilt. Nah, you don't chase peace anymore. You build it. You forge it in solitude, in the aftermath of betrayal. Because real peace doesn't need witnesses. It's not a trophy, it's armor. You wear it quietly, and it shines when lies return to test your calm. That's when they realize you're not the same. You don't flinch anymore. You don't rush to defend. You simply watch. And watching now is more powerful than any defense you could offer. Oh, they feel it. The ones who blamed you, the ones who laughed when you fell. They sense the change that still composed energy that doesn't beg for understanding anymore. It unsettles them because you no longer need their approval to exist. You've learned that strength doesn't come from clearing your name, it comes from knowing your worth even when no one else does. And when fear finally bows, quietly, respectfully, you realize something greater. This wasn't about surviving their lies. It was about mastering your reaction. You don't control what they do, you control how deeply it reaches you. That's the real victory. Calm in chaos, clarity in conflict, patience when provoked. You were blamed for a crime you didn't commit. But now you carry something far rarer than proof. You carry control. Control changes everything. The moment fear leaves your hands, you stop trembling and start steering. Oh wow, that's when the balance of power shifts. Not in public, not with applause or validation, but quietly, beneath the noise. You begin to move differently, speak differently, see differently. It's not arrogance, it's precision. You no longer waste energy explaining, reacting, or proving. You've learned the art of stillness, and stillness is terrifying to those who depend on chaos. See, when you gain control, you become unpredictable. Not because you hide your truth, but because they can't manipulate it anymore. They used to feed off your reactions. Every flinch, every protest, every tear fuel for their game. But now they find nothing to grasp. You've taken back the one thing they couldn't steal, your response. And that silence, that calm, that patience, it's their undoing. Yeah, control doesn't shout, it waits. It studies, it remembers. They wonder what you're thinking. They wonder why you're not fighting back. They can't understand that the battle ended when you stopped playing by their rules. You're no longer defending yourself in their court of opinion. You've built your own court within. One where truth doesn't need permission to exist. Oh, and that drives them mad, because people who thrive on deceit can't stand facing someone who isn't trapped by it anymore. Nah, you don't chase revenge. That's beneath the level you've reached. What's the point? The truth already humbled them more than you ever could. They have to live knowing the paper cleared your name, but your silence cleared your soul. They'll carry that contrast forever. Their noise versus your peace. And peace, when earned through struggle, speaks louder than vengeance ever could. You walk now with a quiet authority, not forced, not performed, just real. You've seen too much to crave attention. You've learned that integrity doesn't need an audience. When you speak now, words land heavier, slower, sharper. People listen differently, not because you demand it, but because you no longer need it. Control changes tone, and tone changes presence. Oh, and presence. Presence is your new armor. When you enter a room, they feel it. That weight of someone who's been through chaos and came out refined, not ruined. You carry yourself like a storm that learned discipline. You don't shout to be heard. The silence around your words does that for you. Control isn't about dominance. It's about direction. About knowing when to step, when to stop, when to wait. It's about moving with intention, not impulse. It's knowing that everything meant to destroy you actually trained you, Every accusation became a lesson in composure. Every betrayal, a map to understanding human weakness. And now you stand, not above them but beyond them. Because control, when earned through struggle, turns pain into wisdom, and wisdom into power. Oh, they wanted to break you. Yeah, they wanted you to snap so they could say, "See, we were right." But you didn't. You played their noise like background static and waited. And now? Oh, now the records speak louder than their mouths ever did. That's the twist. No one saw coming. Truth doesn't rush. It arrives like thunder after the storm. And when it does, it doesn't need an apology. It just stands there, unshaken. So here's my little note to you. From one survivor to another, don't waste your energy proving your worth to those who never earned your honesty. The truth already did the job for you. Just smile, because silence was your greatest evidence all along.